And on this Monday, August the 1st. Right from the start, we're on the downside. I've been saying all morning that this is not a huge sell-off, and it's not, although about 26 of the Dow 30 are in the red as we speak, and the Dow's off about a half percentage point in the early going. S&P 500, where's that this morning? It's also opened lower. Yeah, there you go. It's down about a half percentage point, just over that. The Nasdaq Composite down just over a half percentage point. So you've got Reading to the tune of roughly a half percentage point across the board. Big tech, all of them down. But again, there's no huge losses. Google is down better than 1%. Microsoft down better than 1%. Look at that. All right, let's look at Tesla and Twitter. Susan's back with us this morning.
Good morning.
What's with Twitter and Musk countersuing?
Yeah, so we knew that this was going to happen. A lot of legal experts have predicted this. So maybe in this case, he'll get more than just 5 days in court, or he'll get the court date delayed from the October 17th start. Also, more discovery power, which gives him more access and more authority to question and ascertain documents leading to that spam and robo account data that, of course, he's been arguing against. Now, also, it's really interesting that I was reading that Bloomberg survey over the weekend of more than 1,500 investors in Tesla. 75% of them say and believe that he won't end up owning Twitter at the end of this. So 30% thinks that he'll settle for $1 billion or more in damages, that is. More than a quarter say he'll probably just pay that $1 billion breakup fee. The rest thinks he'll just walk away, which I found really interesting. Now, he sold $25 billion in the past 6 months in stock. Some of that for that Twitter $44 billion bid. But actually more investors and a lot of investors still think he'll sell stock again, regardless of whether or not he wins that Twitter trial.
Dan Ives with me. You follow Tesla. It's up this morning, back above $900. What's the story?
Well, fundamentally, I mean, the production numbers, especially going the second half and deliveries, I mean, that's much stronger than the street expected. That's why it's been a rally since earnings.
I would say the China delivery numbers means that Tesla probably did pretty well. So you saw the Neos, the Xpengs, and the Li Autos coming out with really strong July deliveries. So given that Tesla is still the largest electric car seller in China, I think that's why the stock is up today, because that's the implication is that July is pretty good.
Yeah, and Susan nailed it on the head, because ultimately the hearts and lungs of the Tesla story is China. That's been the big overhang in terms of April and May, and now you're really starting to see that rebound. That's a key reason why I believe it's starting to head toward 1,000.
Any significance in this, Susan? NIO opening its first overseas plant. They're opening
Look at the stock today.
In Europe.
Yeah, so you're up 2%, and that's because of that expansion in Europe. So strong delivery numbers, we can quickly go through them. So I saw more than 10,000 for NIO and Li Auto in July. Xpeng delivered 11,000 plus, again, very bullish, which is helping lift Tesla today. NIO opening its first European plant in Hungary, but they're not going to start shipping cars just yet. They're going to start shipping the energy and the battery tech first. Also news is that Nikola, you know, that embattled electric truck maker, they just bought a battery supplier, Romeo Power, for $144 million.
Just like that. You follow any electric vehicles other than Tesla?
Yeah, so names that I believe that are really poised to be bullish on are names like NIO in China in terms of how they're ramping, but also the commercial names like Exos in particular. You
are poised to be bullish on NIO and...
Because I think as they ultimately execute, I think that's where these stocks are going to start to work.
Okay. Boeing. Huge gain today. Last time I checked, they were up over 4%. Now they're up 3.3%.
Yeah.
Did they avoid a strike or something?
Yeah, Dow leader today. And also Dreamliner deliveries have been cleared for the first time in 14 months by the FAA. So that's a big deal. That means less cash drain for the company and making more sales. Remember back in 2020, you had engineers finding some gaps in the fuselage, which is obviously very concerning, right?
Yes.
And then Boeing, of course, those workers they've averted that strike across 3 of those defense manufacturing locations. So this is all positive for the plane maker. And, you know, they just recorded some of the first deliveries and first plane orders, I think, in a long time. Delta ordering a big chunk, a big number for the first time in a decade.
You know, I do a lot of flying, but I've never yet flown on a Dreamliner.
You have not?
No.
On a really? 787?
No.
Internationally? Have you been flying internationally yet?
No, not for years.
Okay, so that's probably because that's what because it's so fuel efficient that they use a Dreamliner on the long haul.
I like
flights.
those big windows, which I'm told are interesting. Should put that. What do you know about Activision Blizzard? I know they'll report this afternoon.
That's right. So they are going to report later on today. Don't forget that Activision, of course, still trying to close that deal with Microsoft, which would be $65 to $70 billion billion range. I think there's nothing going to be unique in this report card. I think most people expect a slowdown when it comes to that gaming boom that took place during COVID.
Pinterest.
Also, as you know, we do have some activist investors in Pinterest as well. And given the slowdown that we've seen in advertising revenue and also a slowdown in usage that we've seen in Pinterest, namely, we got the numbers from Meta. I think also Snap has confirmed that this is a reality that we're in. Is this
a big afternoon for you, Dan?
Look, it's big because it really, in terms of the next leg, is going to be cybersecurity. That's really the one area we haven't seen. And I believe it's continuing to hold up strong. We see all those earnings, names like Fortinet and others. Combine that with cloud, that's the 1-2 punch that shows enterprise holding up firm.
Okay.
Yeah, Palo Alto also was an upgrade this morning by Wolf, saying that there's 40% upside. So would you buy into the big names like the Palos and the rest of the cyber?
Yeah, Powell is a table pounder, in my opinion. That's been one of our favorite names. To me, cybersecurity across the board, names like Zscaler, Fortinet, among others. I think a lot of these names have overcorrected, but yet you look at ultimately sentiment, much different than what we're seeing in terms of spending strong.
See, that's what I was looking for, a table pounder. And Palo Alto Networks is your table pounder,
That's
right?
a table pounder across the board.
Got it, right. Susan, thanks a lot. See you a bit later in the show. Check that big board, please. We're down 140 points this Monday morning. That's a little less than a half percentage point down. Dow winners, top of that list. I'm pretty sure it's Boeing. Yeah, it is. Now it's up 4%. Merck, IBM, Verizon, J&J on that list. The S&P 500 winners, top of that list, Boeing, of course. Target's up there. Tesla's up there. 1.5% higher on Tesla. Lockheed Martin up there as well. NASDAQ Composite winners, who we got? Tesla's on there, Dollar Tree, Kraft Heinz, Advanced Micro Devices. All right. The 10-year Treasury yield, I'd like to see where that is right now. Earlier, we had it at 2.66. Now it's down to 2.64%. I don't know whether that's a flight to safety this morning or a recession indicator, but that yield is way down there. Price of gold, $17.85 per ounce. Bitcoin, 23,000 and change per coin. Small change, actually. And the price of oil, $93 a barrel. Nat gas also on the downside, below $8. And we have the average price for a gallon of regular, $4.21 this morning. How about that? California, $5.60.